From the 33 and a third Music Appreciation Center in Speakeasy, it's bonus episode number 4 of the Infectious Grove Podcast. We are doing the bonus extra tournament episodes, and I'm sure everybody's used to it by now that's listened, but Kyle and I just picked 8 albums that we like a piece. We threw them in a tournament bracket, and right now in the first round, they are all, his choices are pitted against mine as we move through it, and Michelle decides which ones are the winner, and they move on. Things will get interesting later on when some of our own choices go up against each other and so on. So it's going to be not scientific by any stretch of the imagination, but very fun and interesting the whole time. So last week we had Garth Brooks' second album, No Fences, go up against Led Zeppelin's fourth album, Led Zeppelin 4, and Led Zeppelin ended up taking that. So we will circle back to Led Zeppelin 4 later in the tournament when who knows what it'll be going up against. So this week's matchup is Metallica's 5th album, self-titled, the Black Album, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of like the Beatles' White Album. It just really doesn't have a name. Versus Pink Floyd's 7th album, The Dark Side of the Moon. So seeing as these episodes are generally a little bit shorter in format, we'll jump right into it. Kyle, enlighten us about Metallica's Black Album.
It's by far... it's my favorite of their older albums. Actually, I don't like any of their newer stuff, but my favorite of their older albums is jam-packed with just tons of old headbanging shit you'd want to listen to when you're working out or want to punch a hole in the wall or something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a pump you up album, that's for sure. I mean, they switched formats like huge from the 4th record before that, but and like many people when they refer to like new Metallica, and I'm using air quotes, this is the era that they talk about, is like the Black Album forward is quote new Metallica, and then Kill 'Em All through Injustice for All, which is the record before this, was the what's considered quote unquote old Metallica. And my thing is, people get so angry about the Black Album because it's so different than what they'd done before, but in my personal opinion, Injustice for All is the single greatest heavy metal record ever made by anyone ever. And once you're at the top of the mountain, where are you supposed to go from there? You know, like that's always been my defense of this record, is like, what were they supposed to do? Make Injustice for All again? You know, like they had just perfected that. So of course they're going to drop it down to like 3 and 4 minute songs. And a lot of the fans objected to that, but what's some of your highlights of it?
My favorite song off the record is My Friend of Misery.
Oh, right on. Yeah. That's actually near the tail end, right?
Yeah, it's the last song.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I lied. It's the second to last song.
I think either The Struggle Within or The God That Failed are the last.
The Struggle Within is the last song.
Okay,
yeah.
Right on. What were you going to say before?
Songs like Nothing Else Matters that like is totally different than a lot of the other stuff that they'd done previously. Yeah,
I think that and The Unforgiven definitely are two tracks that don't sound anything like they've done before, regardless of like song length and so on.
I like that they were able to switch it up from their older stuff and still kick ass, man. Like the stuff that they put out like way later, like the way newer stuff is like, to me, awful. Like they shit the bed later like Death Magnetic and all those albums. Like I cannot.
I'm of two minds about it. I will say, I don't know. Have you heard the latest, which is a couple years old now, but Hardwired to Self-Destruct?
I did not listen to that album.
Okay, give that a shot. I think you'd like it. My problem with Death Magnetic was Death Magnetic to me is what they could have done after Injustice for All. Like it's 4 guys sitting there being like, let's do thrash speed metal because we're Metallica, you know, and that's not the right reason to make a record. You know what I mean?
Right.
And Hardwired is that. It's still that, but I think they did it more organically. I don't know how to describe it. You'll have to take a listen to it and let me know. Well, I mean, you might think it's hot garbage, but I like it more than Death Magnetic. Let's put it that way.
Death Magnetic to me was just, it sounds forced. Like they were just trying to be this. Just trying to be this band that fits in with all the other like hardcore like speed metal bands or whatever that are out, and it just was not. I don't know, man. They really lost me after they started doing that kind of shit.
Right. No, and geez, that could almost be a whole extra episode just dissecting.
Oh yeah.
That'll be one where Michelle's on vacation or something. So it's not just Michelle sitting here bored listening to you and I wax poetic about
I don't really agree with this album being considered like the new Metallica. I would.
Oh, it was when it came out, brother. It was when it came out. Let me tell you.
Like 1 through 5 to me is like I group that in like all of the stuff that I would prefer to listen to from Metallica.
Yeah.
And then you got like later on you got Load and Reload and that kind of stuff, and I appreciate those for what they are. And then obviously we just talked about the later stuff that is not as good, but
Yeah, Load and Reload are very much a continuation of this record, at least in my opinion. And then even exploring with even newer sounds. And then I think we can all agree Saint Anger is the worst thing that ever happened. But again, flashing back to this record specifically, I think it kicks off with two of the biggest radio hits the band had ever have and will ever have, Sandman and Sad But True. And like you said, if you're going to punch someone in the face, about halfway through Sandman and all the way through Sad But True are great tracks to do that with.
Oh yeah, and man, there's just that's almost like that's why I like My Friend of Misery so much, because it has that like the lead up to it, and then once it starts going, it's just like all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. The only issue that I have with the record is, for me at least, there are some tracks that are just there. And again, what I've done recently with this is, in addition to Michelle like having to listen to the records in their entirety, I've been trying my best to really sit down and zone in on these records straight through, whether, if it's something I've never heard before, because I'm going to speak on it, or if it's something like the Black Album that I haven't listened to straight through in forever. And there used to be songs like Holier Than Thou I used to think was just the greatest metal song ever, and it was very much just there for me this time. And there was a couple other that were like that. Don't Tread on Me and On Through the Never, for me, were just there. But like on either sides of that, Unforgiven, Wherever I May Roam, those are monster tracks. Nothing Else Matters, like you mentioned. I think The God That Failed is a great cut near the end of the record. But yeah, I mean, it's a great record. Other than My Friend of Misery, I think it really dials back in the second half. Like, it's still heavy, but it's not, the songs aren't as, they're just there to me. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'd be willing to say that My Friend of Misery is like out of place in order on the album, because like you said, to me that's a pretty heavy song, and a lot of the other stuff at that end of the record is not as heavy as what is at the beginning of the record.
Yep. It to the point where when it came on the other night, well, I have a mobile fidelity pressing of it, so it's at 45 RPM, and you get a lot fewer songs per side. And when I was getting to the end, I was like, what else is on? Oh, like when I saw that song, I was like, oh yeah, like I haven't heard this in a while. So that's
I didn't know you had that on vinyl until you posted that picture of that, and I was like, yes.
Oh, yeah. Not only do I have it on vinyl, I have the mobile fidelity version, which is killer. That and Justice, I have those two on the mobile fidelity 45 RPM pressings, which are sweet. Everything else I just have the regular pressings of, but those two sound freaking fantastic. What else you got to say about the Black Album?
Overall, I think that this album does a lot of speaking for itself. It is one of Metallica's most iconic albums that they put out.
Yeah, for sure. Good, bad, or indifferent, it's definitely iconic. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Whether you love it or hate it, as quote unquote a diehard Metallica fan, it's iconic, and you can't deny that.
Yeah, people might have been pissed off because they changed up how they were doing things, but that's how bands grow over their career.
I mean, they have to.
They did shit the bed later on with Saint Anger and Death Magnetic, but like it's back then, all the albums are good back then. It's
let's not leave out Lulu, the album they did with Lou Reed that is horrible. Let's not leave that out. But again, we're not judging the rest of Metallica's career. We're just judging this, so I don't mean to make it sound like I'm going on about what they did later. So
speaking of other albums, I never knew that I liked to listen to an orchestra and Metallica together until S&M came out, and I was like, holy shit, like this is awesome.
Yeah, Aerosmith kicked that off when Last Action Hero came out, and they had that orchestrated version of Dream On from the MTV 10th anniversary special, and then after Aerosmith did it, everybody else needed to do it, and to varying degrees of success, and Metallica was absolutely one of the bands that had success with it. And by success, I don't mean it sold a large number of records. I mean it was well done. Like S&M did sell but it was well done. There's other orchestrated records, because it seems like everybody needed to put one out that sold a ton of copies that were not good. So at least Metallica did it well. Moving along to my record this week, Pink Floyd's 7th record, Dark Side of the Moon. I made all these notes for the Black Album that I just shared with you, and I kid you not, my notes for Dark Side of the Moon say exactly this on the screen here. I mean, like that's literally all I wrote, because I'm going to try real hard to stop myself from going on for about an hour and a half about this record. This is
good luck.
A masterpiece. Straight up masterpiece. It's influential. It's groundbreaking. It takes you on a journey from the moment that it starts till the moment that it ends. There's so many unique things I won't even get into about the way that they recorded it, the way that things were done to get the sounds that they got on the record and to tell the story they were telling. Yes, the one thing I'll stop off at and tell you that's interesting is at the very beginning when you hear the heartbeat and you hear the first voices before the guitar comes in for Breathe, and you hear different quotes and whatnot. You hear people all throughout the record talking, and what they did with that was they put questions about just life and love and everything else. They put questions on index cards, and they got random people to come in the studio, and they would just have them read the index card and then say their answer to the question. So it would be like, when's the last time you got in a fist fight? Are you afraid of dying? Do you think you have enough money? What's your thoughts on war? And then people would read the question and they would say it out loud. And then they used normal people's thoughts on the record. And that's what you first hear when the very first heartbeat starts at the beginning of the record. And then you hear that through the rest of the record. But I mean, it kicks off with Breathe, which pretty much sets the tone, which is literally, I mean, the song is about the album is about a journey through life and all the ups and downs. And Breathe kicks right off, and very like the promise of a new life, and you've got your future ahead of you. And then it immediately goes into On the Run, which is to me sounds like Paranoia. Like that's what it's supposed to sound like, is when you start to get into real life and real life problems and the feelings that whirl around your head and whatnot. That's what On the Run is meant to signify. Going into Time, which is just, in my opinion, the song Time is Pink Floyd firing on all cylinders. The drumming is fantastic. The keys are fantastic. Both Dave and Rick, their harmonized vocals are superb. The lyrics for Time are absolutely fantastic. Just another Roger Waters brilliant song about how everything passes by us so fast, and you always are going to make plans, and if you don't act on it, then the time's already gone by. It's just amazing. And then that's followed up. Side one closes out with Great Gig in the Sky, which is a beautiful instrumental on the keys by Rick Wright. I love the fact that there's not even words for this. They just brought in Claire Torrey to almost do like a funeral wailing over the top, which is amazing. Which, side note about that song, that's improv. She just knew the notes that they wanted to sing, and she laid that out that way. And ever since 1973, every person who's ever sang it with Pink Floyd is just desperately trying to live up to Claire Torrey's original vocal. Kick off side two with Money, which again is just another like cornerstone and pillar of life. Side note about that song, it's the only number one hit in the history of music that's in 7/5 timing, which is amazing. But again, Pink Floyd firing on all four cylinders. The drumming is fantastic. The keys are great. Dave's guitar work is probably the best of the record on that song. Dave again singing Roger's lyrics, which straight up tell the story of, basically all of life is about getting more money. And if you don't have money, you're left out. And if you do, then you get an automatic pass and move on. Going out of that into Us and Them, which again is another gorgeous cut. Not the first time and not the last time Roger Waters will tell us about how bad war is, but more that song focuses on how the differences in society come from those who make war and the people who benefit from war. And it's one of those messages that was just as timely in 1973 as it is here in 2020, which I think is another huge in the plus column for the record, how timeless it is. Coming out of that is a wonderful Rick Wright keyboard experiment called Any Color You Like, which was more or less the same type of thing, like swirling through the rest of your life. And then the album is capped off with two songs that represent old age, with Brain Damage and Eclipse, reflecting back on your whole life and how you handle things, and how those, the time, the money, and taking a moment to breathe in, but also planning ahead, how all of those things lead to where you are now. And then the record fades out with the heartbeat that started the record in the first place, which is obviously the person's, the end of the line, the expiration. There's a reason why it's sold as many billions of copies as it has. It is just a masterpiece from start to finish, in my opinion. There's really no bad song on the record that I can tell. It's a piece that works in its entirety or separate. I mean, almost, I'd say half the record still gets played regularly on rock radio, which is amazing for something that's supposed to be such a complete piece. So for a person who literally had two words written down, which was, I'm not kidding you, I mean, in a lot of periods, that is my complete thoughts on The Dark Side of the Moon. And also you should remember, this is my fifth favorite Pink Floyd record. So that should tell you how I feel about the other four. So I will pass it over. Kyle, did you get a chance to listen to the record, or were you familiar with it before, or what's the story on you in this record?
My dad is a big Pink Floyd fan, so I grew up listening to a lot of Pink Floyd. It had been a while since I listened to the entire thing. for a lot of people, it's either like they either love or hate Pink Floyd, and there's no in between.
Yeah, that's probably right.
I very much don't feel like that. I don't. It's just not my jam. I don't dislike Pink Floyd. They definitely have their place in music history and what they've done and still do. I respect them for what they are. I don't go out of my way to listen to Pink Floyd beyond what I would hear on the radio, which is, like you said, still pretty incredible that a lot of their stuff is played on the radio. But I don't find myself going to choose this record out of anything else, over anything else to listen to.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, it's crazy to me how much of their stuff still does get played on the radio. And it's like, just very quick, because we talked a little bit about the later Metallica material. The two albums after The Dark Side of the Moon for Pink Floyd really stretch out. Like the Animals and Wish You Were Here both have tracks on them that are between 11 and 20 minutes long. But what's funny is the tracks that are radio friendly on those two records that are like 3 and 4 minutes apiece still regularly get played on the radio. And they probably would play the 20-minute song if they could get away with it. And so it's crazy to me. And then The Wall has 26 songs, and there's without naming them, I'd say there's probably 8 or 10 that still get played on the radio regularly from The Wall, which again, some people might be listening to this going, you're crazy. That much doesn't get played here. But that goes back to what I said before about we're kind of blessed with WRAF here because they do play a good amount of stuff like that. So
yes, and like you were saying, that even people who don't like Pink Floyd or despise them, you cannot deny their impact that they've had overall, because that shit is still current and being played as we speak right now. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, if nothing else, when Roger learned how to write a universal lyric, it was off to the races. And I think that's why their stuff is so universal. Like David Gilmour is a great guitar player, but there's plenty of stuff that was released in 1973 that's not still played on the radio with great guitar players. Whereas, Money and Time and Breathe are played on the radio on a regular basis. So it's not just Dave's great guitar playing. It's, Roger's lyric and Rick's keys and Nick on the drums. It's the full experience is what causes it. So Michelle, you have been patiently waiting. I'm sure you had an amazing week listening to these two records by artists that you're A, not that big on, and B, had never heard in their entirety. Why don't we start with the Black Album, and you go through your notes and let us know what you thought.
So, as you said, this was probably my least favorite week so far. I had a struggle. Neither of these artists are somebody... No.
Okay. Nope. All right. Just checking. I just wanted to throw a pun out there.
Neither of these artists are anybody that I would ever seek out to listen to. I mean, I know that their existence is important in music in general. I'm not saying that I don't appreciate what they've done, but neither of their genres are something that it's just not something that I would ever on my own accord listen to these records on front to back. So that being said.
So it is with under great duress that Michelle shares the following thoughts with us.
I'm pretty sure that this was Russ's secret plan the entire time for this, was to get me to listen to Pink Floyd.
No, so. I would have first of all, it would have been all Pink Floyd records. All 8 of my choices would have been Pink Floyd records. But go on.
So starting with Metallica, the Black Album, I will say this is probably the album that I know. I mean, I don't listen to a lot of Metallica, but I knew a lot of songs off of it from just from listening to it, just from the radio and it being in the air supply. So it's always nice when I ran into a song that I liked. But I like the way that it started. Enter Sandman was a good way to start the record. It definitely grabbed me and pulled me in a little bit as much as it could, and I resisted. And then when Sad But True started, I was like, wait, this is American Badass. Then I had to go play Kid Rock's version.
American Badass by He Who Shall Not Be Named.
Yeah. And I had to listen to them back to back. And then I, of course, asked you guys before I look like an idiot on this podcast and be like, is this the same song? And Kyle, you said that they gave him rights?
Even you can find it on whosampled.com as being a sample of the song, but what according to my research, what it actually is, Kid Rock used his band to use the same exact notes that Metallica did to do the music, and Metallica gave him permission to do so. Yeah. Which is why it sounds so much alike.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't sound like it's the exact same recording, but it sounds like it's the same.
I have not one clue why you wouldn't just sample it instead of re-recording it, but he did the same thing when he ripped off 2 songs at once for all summer long when he ripped off Werewolves of London and Angel in the Morning.
Yeah.
He did the same thing. He just re-recorded it. I don't know why you wouldn't just sample it, because you're absolutely not creating anything new at that point. But anyways, please, dear God, let's stop talking about Kid Rock and move on.
I wonder if that's like a loophole around having to pay for like the.
I assure you, it is not. No, if it was, let me tell you this: if that loophole existed, I know plenty of talented people, and I would have re-recorded every song I want to play on this podcast, and we would just do that.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
No, you still, you still got to get permission and pay and everything. So it just makes no sense that he did that. But anyways, do you have more thoughts on Sad But True, or just that about the?
No, that was just. I mean, the song was just there. I was actually pretty disappointed that I knew that it sounded like American Badass. So I was very upset with myself.
I was very surprised when you asked me that, like that you immediately caught on to like, hey, this is another song by
that I don't like.
Someone way less talented. That's weird.
This song I don't like sounds like another song I don't like. Holier Than Thou just seems, it's so ragey. This album is so fast and so ragey, and I maybe I just wasn't in the right frame of mind.
I just want to say something real quick. If this is how this is starting off for you, I cannot stress this enough. Never ever listen to the album before it. And Justice for All. Never in your entire, like, if me, you, and Kyle are hanging out down here in the future, and one of us pulls and Justice for All, go for the longest smoke break you've ever gone in your entire life. Because if you think this is ragey, holy cow. So anyways, Holier Than Thou. It was ragey, and you just said, why is this happening to me?
Yeah, it was, which is kind of like where I was the entire album, but that was the first one where I was just like, why is this so angry? And then the rest of the album, I mean, I have a couple notes. It was just kind of there. It was all ragey. It probably didn't help my attitude while I was at work. I just kind of wanted to smash stuff. That's where I was listening to it.
Now, I will say this. That is the intended consequence of Metallica.
Well, okay. Well, then they succeeded.
Yeah.
I did give Unforgiven a thumbs up. I did like that song. No fires. I didn't do any fire emojis on my track listing. Just
a side note, and again, I want to state this has nothing to do with the judgment of this record. One thing that bums the hell out of me about Unforgiven is they went back to that well on Reload and did a song called Unforgiven 2, as in TOO. And it's like a harder version of that same song. And then he gets to the chorus and he's like, or are you unforgiven too? And I'm just like, no, like first of all, you have Load, and then the album is called Reload. So it's like more of Load. And then you did more of the Black Album, literally. It was, again, it's just a side note, but I genuinely love the song, the original version of Unforgiven.
Yeah, I liked it. And then Nothing Else Matters, of course. I knew that song, and I mean, liking is a stretch. I mean, I gave it 2 thumbs up, as in like that's the best song on the album, in my opinion. I
could agree with that. Go on.
The God That Failed got 2 thumbs down. I just didn't. It was
not 1 but 2. So my I want to be clear. My notes that I'm looking at right now says The God That Failed, great. And your notes says The God That Failed, 2 thumbs down.
Yeah, not 1 but 2.
Yep.
And then the rest of the album was unremarkable for me. Anything in between those ones that I made notes on, I would say that the album flowed well. I didn't feel like I was ever to a jarring stop or start. I feel like it was a nice beginning, middle, and end, which not a lot of albums are. I had that feeling, not like when for No Offenses, it felt like there was a lot of songs that were out of place. This one, I did not get that feeling through the whole record, so that was one of the few positives I found.
Right. Jeez, I'm not looking forward to the Dark Side of the Moon. I feel like the Dark Side of the Moon is going to get destroyed too. But go on.
You should probably just
quit now.
Mute this.
Just quit.
You should just not listen, and then just pick it up at the end and be like, "All right,
I'll find out on Friday with the rest of you."
I'm telling you, if you throw on some old Metallica at the gym, you'll have 10 miles under your belt before you realize it.
Right.
I don't think I will. It doesn't. I'm more of like an Eminem or we talked about. Someone brought up Limp Bizkit the other day, and Break Stuff. That's my like rage out music. This is too much. It's too much. It's too much.
All right. So the Black Album equals too much. What about the Dark Side of the Moon?
All right. I was dreading this part of the podcast. I feel like I've let you down. everything that you said you liked about it, I have my notes that like I don't like about it.
Okay, go on.
So like I don't like the intros. I know that you say it tells a story, but like it's just like it's not very lyrical. Like the couple, like when you said that it starts the album out with people talking, answering the questions. And I know that you told me the story before about that's how they recorded it, and it tells a story, and I get that, but I like an album that I can listen to each song individually outside of the record and not necessarily. You're very big on that the record has to flow from, front to back. And that's how the way the album should be listened to, because that's the way they constructed it. I'm not of the same mindset. Like I can handpick songs and put it in, and I can shuffle albums all day and it'd be fine. I feel like I couldn't do that with this record.
Which is odd because like 5 songs out of it are regularly played on the radio on their own. So that's odd.
5 out of 10, that's 50%.
Yeah.
The rest of it is not.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Do you have a lot of records that half the record is played regularly on the radio?
Just because it's played on the radio doesn't mean that it's good.
You just said the problem with the record is that you can't listen to songs individually, and my rebuttal to that was that half the record is played individually on the radio all the time.
So I'm talking about as a whole, like I'm judging the entire record. So like if I'm saying like I'm not listening to this record for 50% of it, like 50% of it I liked, and then the other 50% of it I was like, I couldn't listen to this on its own. Like, I understand that it has its place in the record, but like, there's the other 50% like that. Speak to Me is not on the radio. Like, it's not, and I understand that it's not supposed to be. Like, it's a lead in, right? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Okay, so like,
all right, so you, we'll go on. You said On the Run was next. You were about to have some thoughts on the Run.
I have a thumbs down.
Yeah, well, I figured for sure that was coming.
I think that time really is where the record starts for me. I can see like as soon as that song came out, I was like, oh yeah, like this, like here's the Pink Floyd I know, like now I'm into it,
Right.
And then The Great Gig in the Sky was, it ran right into that, and then Money, of course, thumbs up. That's just 2 thumbs up. Right. So that's good. The rest of the album, it was just kind of for Money. Yep. So anybody who's keeping track, I feel like I'm giving you notes like how Pam has to take on Beach Day. She takes notes from Michael Scott. Yeah. The rest of the album, it was just kind of there for me. It wasn't very lyrical. Like there's the lyrics on there are few and far between in some of the songs, and it's the songs that have no.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you that, regardless of how this comes out, you're going to want to listen to the record again because you're not even close to accurate. Like, Money is filled with lyrics, so is Us and Them. Any Color You Like is an instrumental, and then literally Brain Damage and Eclipse are all lyrics. Like, it's literally all lyrics.
And a chorus, and that's it.
Nope. Like, I assure you, these songs are
longer
than that.
There's like oohs and ahs and no.
Okay.
Oohs and ahs.
Like, you can not like it. You just can't say things that aren't true about it. Like, you can't just say that. I looked
up the lyrics for it. Yeah. Because I was like, am I missing something? And it's like 2 sentences for a song.
Not even
like,
remotely
that's not
accurate.
lyrical.
Nope.
Yes.
Nope. Okay. Yep. That's not accurate. Like, that's just plain not accurate. Like, I can go get the cover for The Dark Side of the Moon and hold it up and show you right now, which has the lyrics inside of it. There are far more than 2 lines to every song on that record. There are 2 instrumentals
every song in 2
on
lines, but you're talking about the 50%.
Yeah.
There's 2 instrumentals on it. The first one is just people talking. Breathe is just nothing.
Except for the gorgeous lyrics that Roger Waters wrote that start with Breathe in the Air.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, go on. You're more than welcome to not like it, but to say, like, one of the strong points in music history is Roger Waters' lyric writing ability. So, like, history's not really on your side when you're saying that Pink Floyd doesn't have lyrics.
I didn't say that the lyrics weren't good.
No, when you're saying that there's a small amount of lyrics, like there's a massive amount of lyrics on the record.
There are lyrics on the record, you're right.
Right. So I'm guessing then you have no thoughts on Brain Damage and Eclipse rounding out the record.
I thought Brain Damage was a title track called Dark Side of the Moon because they say it in the song.
Right.
And that was not the case. So I do like that song. But the rest of it after that.
The only song afterwards, Eclipse.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Not my jam.
Right on.
No.
Okay. So. Thus concludes Michelle's notes on 2 fantastic records that their fans are extremely passionate about that Michelle did not like in any way, shape, or form. As usual, we will take a quick break and come back for the judgment.
Hey, you there. We've got a question for you. Are you tired of clickbait stories and the loudest voices driving discussions in culture and entertainment?
If so, I'm Dylan.
I'm Kendall.
And I'm Corey. And we host the podcast From the Middle. We're middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle.
We take a more reasonable and centrist approach in our discussions covering genres like comedy, culture, entertainment, and interviews, with really interesting folks like business owners, comic creators, doctors, news anchors, New York Times best-selling illustrators, professional stand-up comics, and more. We really value a relaxed and conversational podcast, one that we hope is so fun and laid back, you'll forget you're not actually hanging out with us.
So search at From the Mid Pod, just like it sounds, or check us out everywhere you can find podcasts.
Hey, this is Grabbin' Brisket Podcast. Join us every Monday where we talk about the latest trends in barbecue, interviews with world top pitmasters, celebrity cooks,
Ooh, like Wee Man from Jackass.
and musicians.
Like Rich O'Toole?
So check us out. We do beer reviews, barbecue fails.
So many fires.
Dude, a lot of people just burn their houses down for no reason.
We also talk about cocaine hippos versus meth gators,
Learn how to make some tailgate gravy.
altercations with Texas Rangers.
People throwing Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah, so check out grabthebrisket.com for podcast info, viral social media posts, and so much more.
We're back for the second half of the bonus tournament episode of the Infectious Grove Podcast. And luckily, we took a break. There was a bit more infighting there for a couple seconds. So good news is we took a break. But hey, if you like what you're hearing, tournament episodes, the regular episodes that we're doing, boy, howdy, we'd sure like some support. If you would, head over to anchor.fm/Infectious Grove Podcast. Scroll down, hit support, and you can support the show for as little as $1 a month. So if you're enjoying this content, we sure would appreciate it. We do. I want to say we very much appreciate the supporters that we do have. We just could do a lot more cool things in the future if we had, more listeners that are enjoying the content every week. Hit that support button and help us out for as little as $1 a month. So anchor.fm/Infectious Grove Podcast. Scroll down to support and handle business. I would greatly appreciate that, and I know Michelle and Kyle would as well. So having said that, we are coming to the end of this this latest episode. Michelle, do you have your judgment ready?
I do.
All right, here we go. Which album is moving on?
Metallica.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. It didn't get a very good score, though. It was 4 out of 10.
So you rated it about the same as you've rated most of the records so far?
No, none of the ones that won. Well, Zeppelin got a 7. Eminem got a 7.
What kind of a record would get a 10 out of you?
Something I picked. Carole King got a 6. Those were all the winners, right?
Yeah, so far I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So none of these albums are something that I completely 100% enjoy front to back. So, I mean, like that I would go to, not that I shouldn't say I didn't enjoy it. It's just not my jam that I would go and listen to on my own religiously. That's why they don't get higher scores.
I will say that I am very surprised by how it went because I really wasn't sure because, well, literally, Michelle was like, what if I hate both these albums equally?
I did say that.
I was like, well, I don't know.
And neither of them are my jam. I don't know. That it was the lesser of two evils for me, unfortunately. And that's not to say that they don't have their place, and I understand how people like them, and I understand that that they are prolific records, but they're not for me.
Gotcha. So. All right. Well, according to you, the lesser of two evils is moving on this week. The Metallica, the Black Album, will return in the tournament later on. When things start to get interesting and we start to see some of our own choices come up against each other. So having said that, we will have another one of these up for everybody next week, and we're still kind of in the first round type deal. So these are still Kyle's picks going up against mine in this first round. And Kyle is kind of a cheater McGee with next week because you can't do compilation.
Snap.
Yep, you can't do compilation records, but he entered the Weeknd trilogy into the competition for next week, which is pretty much a compilation of Weeknd's first 3 records, right?
It was his first commercially released record, which happened to be compiled of his, like, they're like mixtapes, I guess you could say, but essentially he put them on the web for free or whatever when they first came out.
Gotcha.
Is it 3 albums worth of music?
Yes.
Like, is it 3 hours long?
Yeah, I want to say roughly they're between 40 and an hour long each.
That's cheating.
Well, take that into consideration, I guess, Michelle. But having said that, this is it's going to be a battle of debut records next week, which I think is pretty cool. It'll be the Weeknd Trilogy versus Pearl Jam 10, which is Pearl Jam's first record. And it's again, I'm pretty sure that most of Pearl Jam 10 was played on the radio regularly at one point and absolutely still is. So I think it'll be at least one of those records where you go, oh, I know the song. Oh, I know the song. Whether or not you love them is a whole other thing. And I'm not saying this to be funny. Right. Well, I'm not saying this to be funny about the Dark Side of the Moon, but like more than half the record, you were probably like, oh, I know this song, but it doesn't mean that you're going to love it. So, you know what I mean?
Yes, half the record for sure. I did know most of the songs, and I think I knew even more than half the record through you. Like I've definitely heard.
Oh, I'm not trying to reopen the Dark Side of the Moon discussion at all. Like I'm not even trying to step down that road at all. I was just saying, like, comparison to Pearl Jam, you very much, I think, are going to be like, oh, I know the song. Oh, I know the song. But it remains to be seen whether or not you'll love the song. Like it didn't go that way for Pink Floyd. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay. The only thing I think it's neat because there's not a ton of debut records in this competition, but I think there's at least 3 or 4. But I thought it was interesting that 2 of them matched up against each other randomly, and 2 completely different genres.
And then we're halfway, so we have 4 more of new records, and then.
Yeah, 4 more new records, and then that's when it'll really pare down after that to things like I'm not looking at it right now, but I like the Carole King will go up against I forgot what won the second second episode.
Aerosmith?
No. But anyways, I've got it to where the albums will start matching up against each other, so it'll be pretty fun. Greatly appreciate everybody listening, taking your time to listen. Please, by all means, again, share your thoughts with us on social media. It was funny with the Eminem Guns N' Roses competition. There was a lot of like voting and whatnot on social media, but nobody actually like interacted to share their thoughts. So I'm hoping that the Pink Floyd and Metallica fans are a lot more vocal on this particular issue. That'd be fun. So in any case, we always greatly appreciate you guys listening. This will be out for everybody. You'll be hearing this as soon as Friday morning, and then over the weekend we're going to record a new main episode, and that will be out for everybody the following Monday. So thank you so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.